So this is part two of DMA 30, again from sections 5 all the way to 8. And this time now we're going to be converting meters now, liters and grams. So let me go back to my slides. So when converting grams, meters, and liters, this is the phrase that I would like you to remember, and which is going to be very helpful when doing this part of the section when converting grams, meters, and liters. So we have the phrase King Henry danced Monday drinking chocolate milk. Some people usually say King Henry died Monday drinking chocolate milk, but we want to be positive and not negative. So we just say King Henry danced Monday drinking chocolate milk. So the K in King stands for kilo. The H in Henry stands for hecto, then deca. I put this in red because that's considered to be our standard unit because that's going to change. Right now we're talking about M for meters, but this M can change to G and also can change to L for liters. But right now we're going to use Monday for our standard unit for meters. Drinking for deca, chocolate, centa, and then milk will be milla. So here we're just using the first letter in each of these terms and these words, and then anytime what the direction asks for this particular one, we're talking about grams. So all we're going to do is take the first letter and change it to G's. And notice that the standard one gets changed to G. So we went from M to G for this one. So if we're talking about liters, just change all the back letters to L's. And here's our standard one again. And that would take care of any problem that we're dealing with. G for grams, M for meters, L for liters. So all we're doing is just changing the back part of the prefix of each one of them to either G, M, or L. And then the middle one here gets changed to the main number the main letter that we're talking about. So for this one here, we want to convert 4,300 milligrams to grams. So how do we do that? You always use the first number here. Where is the decimal case located in a whole number? If you did not know, the decimal is always located at the end of every whole number. So we're going from mg all the way to regular G, which is grams. So how many times we move the decimal? 1, 2, 3. So take this decimal in the back here. 1, 2, 3. We move it here, and then that's what we get 4.3. Let's do another example. I want to convert 0.185 deciliters to milliliters. So this here, setting up this phrase and chart will actually tell us the direction it should actually will go. So we're going to the right 2 spots. 1, 2. Take the decimal here. 1, 2, and put it in between the 8 and the 5. And now we have 2 milliliters. So going from deciliters to milliliters, move it 2 times here. So again, this phrase will tell us the directions we should go and how many times to move the decimal. So that's why this phrase would be a great phrase for you to remember. Here are some examples that you can try on your own. Just hit the present when you're looking at the slides, and it has it here. And then once you finish, they'll provide you with the answers for each one of them for practice purposes. So I'm going to move over to My Math Plus and show you how each one of these problems here, we're going from meters to centimeters. So if you look at the chart, how many times do we need to move, and how many what's the direction we need to go? So we're going from meters to millimeters. We go 1, 2, 3 to the right 3 times. So meters to centimeters. Oh, that was actually for centimeters. So we actually go 2 times. 1, 2 to meters. If it was for millimeters, we go 3 times. So here are all the conversions that we need to do. You just need to figure out how many times we need to move and the direction we need to take this decimal. And if you don't see the decimal, remember it's always at the end, and you just fill in, move it, and then whatever we don't fill in, you put in zeros to fill in the parts that we need to fill in as far as what time we move it. For this particular one, just want to make sure you understand, don't ever subtract 2 different units together. So for this one here, we have to convert one of these to the same unit. It'd probably be best to us to do it in millimeters, since the answer needs to be in millimeters. So the one we need to change is this one. So change this to millimeters, and then we are allowed to subtract it. So don't subtract it straight up. Convert this one first to milliliters, then subtract the numbers. So that should get you through the first part of the sections. Now let me show you also how this all relates together. That was section 5. I'm actually going to jump to section 6. And as you notice, if you already viewed, please go back and review and look at my clip from part 1 of sections 5 through 8 so you can understand what I'm trying to say for this one. This one here, 2 different units. Remember, go back and do that cross method that I talked about in the part 1. 2 different units again, 2 different units again. This is all the cross method. Here, again, we have 2 blank ones. That's the 2-part method that we discussed before. I think I still have it on my calculator. So from part 1 in our clip, remember, divide, subtract, multiply every single time you see a 2-part problem. So here, now we're talking about grams. So when we go back to the slides, just change all the letters up here to grams. So if you're working with meters, you had M's by everything, just change them all to grams, and you can use the same method of moving the decimal either left or right in the number of times you need to move it. So all these here are the same thing. Remember, watch out for this one. Don't subtract 2 different units. Because we're in grams, you might want to change this one to grams, and then you're allowed to subtract it. So that gets you through section 6. If I click on section 7, if it'll come up. Let me try it one more time. Section 7 is not coming up right now, but if you go through the sections, you will see how exactly you use the same strategies and methods to actually solve this section. Here it is. So here we're 2 different units, cross method. We got gallons and quarts and cups and stuff. It's the same method as far as using the cross method. Here's the 2-part method, the 2-part problem method. So again, just make sure you review my first clip, part 1, before working all this so you understand how to do these problems. And this one here, you just change to liters this time and then move the decimal left and right. The last section I wanted you just to review is going to be section 8. And for all of these sections here, you're actually going to be given the little chart. That's actually going to, it's like an icon that you can click on that will provide you with a chart. But all these problems here, you're going to be using the cross method because you're going to be using 2 different units for this section, for section 8. So here's a little icon I was saying. This is where you get all your unit fractions together so you can put into the cross method. So if we're going from milliliters to ounces, click on where you find milliliters to ounces. Here's the 1 here. Remember, if these 2 numbers are on top, you multiply them. If you set it up in the cross method and this one's on top and that one's on the bottom, you divide them, the 2 numbers and just ignore this 1 here. So all these problems here is just using strictly cross method. You just got to click this little icon to get your relationship or unit fractions to put into the cross method. So that takes care of unit 5 all to 8, and this concludes part 2 of my lecture on these 2 sections, these part sections.